But yeah, how was Michigan?
It was good. It was great. It was perfect timing to get out of here for that heat wave week. So it was great. It was super fun. Yeah, it was a good, relaxing time. Got to hang out with the McNamara's. It was good. YouTube, hello, by the way.
Hey, YouTube.
Yeah, no, it was sweet. It was super nice. It rained a little bit, but we got to do all the northern Michigan things we wanted to do. So
good.
Yeah.
How are they doing?
They're doing good. Yeah.
Okay.
They're kind of getting settled in.
Sure.
Because they moved relatively recently, but.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Foster. Yeah, Foster and I were trying to figure out. I've been reaching out to him a little bit, and then I totally dropped the ball on communicating because I had to move and do VBS and preach and do too many things. But we're gonna get back into things because we were texting. So I'm like, "You're alive, right?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm alive." Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's always good. It's always good.
Being alive is preferable.
Yeah. YouTube, hope you guys are doing well. Busy sports night tonight. We've got College World Series winner take all game happening right now. Mm-hmm. We have got Game 7 Stanley Cup Finals happening. We've got Copa America.
At the very convenience, like 10:30 at night.
Yeah. Yep.
Or what is it? I guess it's 8:30 our time. It's 8:30 Central.
Which one? Copa or
not Copa? Stanley Cup.
Oh, I think Stanley Cup's 7 p.m. Central.
Oh, is it 7 Central? Okay. For some reason, I thought I saw 9 today.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. 8 Eastern, 7 Central.
Okay.
Do you have a rooting interest between Tennessee and Texas A&M, like of those two baseball teams?
I'm going to move towards Tennessee because I just had a really frustrating conversation with an Aggie today, so I'm not really in the mood.
I mean, that's kind of how
guys.
Oh, you're good.
Hey, Johnny.
Everything that was a good time to come in.
Yes, it was. I feel the same way, but I didn't even have to have an unfortunate conversation with an Aggie fan to get into that headspace. So that's how I feel.
Josh, I told Aaron yesterday I was walking into church and somebody was wearing an A&M polo, which, that's fine. No, I know it's random, but that's fine.
I mean, I guess they have engineering.
I don't know, literally instinctually, I checked his hand for a ring.
Yeah, was it there?
Almost like if you saw like an attractive girl in public, like you kind of do a little glance. Yeah. That's how weird A&M is to me. We literally do the exact same thing for them. And class ring, man.
There it is.
Class ring. And I'm like, no. No. Don't do that.
No, I had 2 A&M conversations today. I'll talk about it on the podcast. I'll save those. No, I'm with you. Can't do it.
Mike, what's up, man? He said the Vols are playing with serious heart. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, good win. What was it yesterday? Had to win to force a game 3. Now they're playing right now. I would like to see Tennessee win, but
I feel like it's my Vols after they won the SEC tournament, so I have to ride with them. Also,
somehow I picked Texas A&M to win the SEC. Like, how did they do better in the College World Series than they did in their own conference tournament?
So did Florida. So
it's
just
that's true.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't understand the disdain for Tennessee in my mind.
No.
Tennessee to me is like the Big Ten's, it's the SEC's Nebraska.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
were fantastic in the 80s and 90s.
Really good at not just football, many sports, really.
Oh, yeah. No, they're like that tier. I would say they're in the Nebraska tiers, or maybe slightly. I would say Nebraska is still a bit of a blue blood. They just have some recent
The only reason I understand more hate is Nebraska joined the Big Ten recently. Tennessee's always been in the SEC, so there's no regional hatred. I get that, but they haven't been good enough for I understand Alabama hating them, but they haven't been good enough for the broad conference to just despise them. Everybody's I'm going with A&M because they're less annoying. I'm like, what? less annoying.
That's crazy.
That's not possible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, I'll hit record so this all gets included.
Very good. Oh, yeah. I'm recording. We're good.
Let me hit that fancy record button. Nice. Audio setup, playback, recording. We're good.
All right.
Let's talk to it.
Let's do it. Welcome to the show. Good to have you back, listeners. I hope your week is going well. We're all in our respective recording locations, and you might be saying to yourself, well, Aaron, that's not news. And normally I would say yes, but as Johnny found out this week, there's no guarantee that your house won't just lock itself. That's what we learned this week.
Johnny, is your house built on an ancient burial ground?
Well, maybe, but that's not the reason.
It also didn't lock itself per se.
Right.
Okay. Our beloved mascot may have been involved, as in the main character of said story. So it is, I guess it's toward the end of spring now for everybody. However, spring means, the wildlife has all the, you'll see a nest appear in your like gutters, or, the wildlife is around, and it'll pop up like overnight sometimes. That happened to me in my backyard. So there was a nest of baby bunnies in our backyard that I did not know about. Why they decided to go in the backyard of that belongs to a golden retriever, I have no idea, but they did. So I let Archer out to use the bathroom after I woke up, as you do when you own a dog, first thing in the morning. And you as a dog owner can tell when they have something that's a toy in their mouth and something that they're not supposed to have. And he clearly had something he was not supposed to have. So I run out there, and unfortunately he had a little baby bunny in his mouth. And I'm like, oh no. So I kind of freaked out and made him drop it, and, I had to pull him basically at that point into the house, and he's a pretty good listener. And so I go out to just after I get him in to just, is the bunny okay? Is the mom there? Where's the nest? Can I put the bunny back in the nest? And after that, I go back to check the door, and it's locked. And he had jumped up because I went back around. When I eventually got back in the house, I went in the front door. He had just enough in his excitement jumped on the door and pushed up my deadbolt.
That's crazy.
So it was also the deadbolt.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just barely.
You have taught your dog.
I put my shoulder into it. I was just like, there's no way this is all the way locked. Let me see if I can basically bust the door in.
Break into your own house.
Right, but you don't want to actually break the door because that's super expensive.
Right.
So, but yeah, so I ended up waiting, and then the story continues. But I don't know, that's a really long story to keep going. So maybe I'll save it for another time. Eventually, I got into my house. I did not get into my house until 2 p.m. And this story started at 7.
Oof.
So just so you know. But I had the Euros. I had the Euros to watch. So it wasn't.
Were you watching through the window? Was it on the TV?
No, I had the only thing I had in my pocket was my phone. Thank God I had my phone with me. Obviously, I did not have my keys. But again, was not expecting to go outside, nor do I regularly carry my keys into my backyard.
In case.
So
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, first time that had happened as far as getting locked out. So.
I mean, I'm really glad your dog does not have opposable thumbs, because it is learning too much too quickly. You think that was an accident? Let me tell you, he was waiting for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
This dog's too smart.
And he's just smiling through the door.
He's smiling because he knows.
Come on, come inside.
Come inside. Man. Why? Is there a problem? Is it locked? I'm just a dumb dog. I couldn't possibly do that. See, he's playing you. Next thing you know, he's going to start flipping light switches on and off. He's going to learn how to use the locks on your interior doors. He's going to lock you inside your own bedroom if you're not careful. All right.
That would be hard. Those locks are not. That's not really how those locks work.
But I understand your point. Wants you. He wants you.
You need an actual key to lock those doors. That would be.
He's
wild.
one step away from learning how to use a key.
The key's on the top of the door frame. He's not that tall.
Does he jump?
And if you are watching live, you can actually see the top of my door frame. So
yeah. It's true.
No.
By the way, speaking of, you can join us on YouTube for these streams. The reason I say that early is because if you noticed on the Spotify podcast side of things, the audio file from last week has gone missing. The reason is well, I would call it technical difficulty. The reality is I left for vacation and forgot to put the audio file on my laptop. So it was just hanging out on my PC that's here at home. So that's coming. You may, if you see 2 episodes pop up in one day, that's why.
You get a treat.
Yep. Yep. Anyways, Josh, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. How about that?
Yeah.
I had to talk to 2 Aggies today, and that's always going to put a damper on my day. One guy's nice. One guy makes up for his A&M-ness by being a good person. But obviously, World Series final is happening as we're recording, so you'll know who the winner is by the time this pops up. So he was decked in full A&M gear for business casual, and then had his ring as always. But good guy, so I'm like, I'll forgive you. The next guy came in, and you can tell he was one of those guys who was part of the Midnight Yells. So like you can tell when he enters a space. And I'm like, hey, I won't say his name in case he comes back. This somehow gets back to him. I have a beef with I had never told like my work about the thing that I was following a few months ago about how A&M made jalapenos less spicy.
Oh yeah.
I told them, and one family was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've been able to tell like jalapenos are less spicy than they were like 10 years ago. And I'm like, it's because of this article. And this dumb Aggie comes in. And I'm like, yeah, they made jalapenos worse. No, they made them. He's like, no, they made them bigger. Are you not saying bigger isn't better? And I'm like, hey.
Classic Texas.
And I'm like, he's like, no, but then we made Bluebonnets maroon, and then we painted and I'm like, no, stop it. You made jalapenos suck. This is on you. You did not graduate with an agricultural degree, but this is on you for being so proud of this school. Yeah. So I had to reignite a beef.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the score is right now. Volunteers, please do something.
Tennessee early up 1-0, bottom of the first.
Rocky Top.
Yeah. I'm full Tennessee fan here. Yeah. Yeah, it's happening. It's apparently like
you learned your lesson from the SEC playoffs or the SEC championship.
Right. It's apparently 104 in Omaha. Now that might have been the high today. We're obviously playing this at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so I would think it's not 104 there at 7 p.m. But also Texas A&M Tennessee.
It's 98 here
Central time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 Central time. Yeah. All right. I mean, it could be. Omaha's not that far from Texas. I mean, it's closer than it is to Ohio.
It's only like 3 hours. Feels like 102 here. It's only 3 hours north, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, overall, busy day on the sports calendar tonight. We are recording on a Monday night per usual, June 24th, the month of our Lord, June, the year of our Lord 2024. We obviously have this College World Series championship. We also have a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Who knew that we would get to this point? We were ready to write off Edmonton, because why wouldn't you? They were down 3-0, and they have stormed back to tie the series at 3 apiece. That game gets underway in less than an hour for us. Again, you'll know the result. That'll be probably something we talk about a little bit more next week when we know, because, look, if Edmonton pulls this off, it's unbelievable. We'll
I never lost faith.
Yeah, sure.
Never lost faith.
We never talk on this show of like, well, both series will be over this time next week.
But I get my point. If they win tonight, I get my point.
That's crazy.
If both Aaron and Johnny get their points for the NHL and NBA playoffs,
we got one for Dallas. You just didn't pick the winner.
Listen, Western Conference Championship wasn't high enough. That's not
honestly, Josh. I thought you had the wildest pick out of all of us, though, and you got it right. So in some ways, it's more viable.
It's fine. It's whatever. It's fine. Blake Lively knows how to do things now, so he has confidence. We'll be okay. The youngest person to dunk, whatever. Okay, it's fine. But in a playoff game, not ever. But no, I've had the pleasure of watching games 5 and 6, and my goodness, the Oilers are just pounding. This is not the same Florida team. Playoff goalie Bob is back.
Yeah,
and I don't like goalie Bob. I'm still frustrated, and I'm like,
the goalie Bob that we knew at Columbus,
and do not like, knew and don't love.
He's very fickle, man. Very fickle.
your girlfriend should have just ignored her and stayed in Columbus, man.
Yep, that's right.
But no, it is. I mean, and again, the Game 6 in Edmonton. That was, and my roommate and I were talking, and he follows hockey a lot more closely than I do. Oh, let me burp in the middle of that. That's great podcasting. So my roommate and I were talking about this, and he follows the Stars and just hockey more closely than I do. And he was talking about how like the only way, because it was like the end of Game 3, and it's like the only way this can work is like if the Oilers can figure out how to throw them off balance, like the Panthers can be thrown off. This happened last year with the Knights.
Yeah.
Florida can get pulled off track. And he's like, if it happens, they're going to have like one game's like, oh, maybe a gentleman's sweep. But if they take Game 5 and go into Edmonton, they're going to have no confidence moving forward. And it's going to be hard for them to pull back because now there's all of the talk of failure, the talk of collapsing. And this was a historic run. How did it end? Like you're not going to get that out of their head.
Yeah, it's Buffalo Bills kind of.
It's Buffalo Bills, exactly.
Whatever you want to call it. Yep.
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys can't finish. Like all of this, like, and unfortunately, and again, I'm not going to say anything, but for games 5 and 6, that's exactly what happens. I mean, it was brutal. Game 6.
Yeah.
Now again, as someone who doesn't like Goalie Bob, awesome, I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't blame him at this point.
Listen.
I completely understand.
I get it. Listen.
Yeah,
hindsight is 2020. Now he can leave. He could leave this year.
Yeah. By the way, breaking news. We fired our coach. The Blue Jackets fired their coach just randomly in June. Good for them.
Is there anybody who's like in a big Blue Jackets podcast that we could hire? Maybe they'll do a good job.
Oh, I like your thinking, Josh.
It works for so many other professional teams.
Yeah. There's a good question in the YouTube chat. It's if Edmonton pulls it off, does it get credited to them, or is it more so the Florida Panthers collapsed? And I like the boring answer is I think it's probably both, because you're telling me a team had 4 chances to close out a series. Like at some point that does fall on Florida.
It's going to be a collapse, but you're also going to have guys like Connor McDavid, who is generally considered the best player currently active in the world, period. Like
he's unbelievable.
I was gonna say what's gonna be, and again, he really didn't do much. I don't think he had a goal in Game 6, but like he's one of those guys who's always going to support the team in a way that matters. And like it's gonna be a little bit of what you're gonna do is he's gonna be the LeBron of the NHL for a little bit. They're only gonna talk about Connor McDavid and ignore the fact that also the Florida Panthers had the least clutch series imaginable. Now again, they're in Miami.
Sunrise.
There's a lot of this
sunrise. That's what they call it.
And here's the thing.
Honestly, okay, hold on. Very least, but wouldn't you love to live in a place called Sunrise? That sounds pleasant.
I am 30 minutes driving distance away from Gun Barrel, Texas. I am so ready to live in a fun
that's on
city.
brand.
It's on brands. I'm like 10 minutes away from Mesquite. I'm in a parody of itself in Dallas. But no, at the very least it's the Florida Panthers, and you have to search in like they're the Miami metro area.
Right.
Tampa Bay, just call them the whatever suburb, whatever like interstate exit you guys have them off of. Like just be honest. So the sigh was like, at least they're honest about where they are. Florida.
Yeah, they were very general with it. We're like,
the Sunrise Panthers are not. It's not scary. Sunrise kind of negates Panther, in my minds. Yeah. But we'll see.
We'll see.
Oilers have all of the momentum going in. Yeah. They had the momentum in Game 5. They had so much momentum in Game 6 that the best save in NHL history happened.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter.
Yep.
That was an incredible save, though.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful.
It's sad he won't like
that. It means nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. It was sad because it deserved to be like a very meaningful save. Because I didn't think there was any way
there was no chance. Yeah. It was one of those moments of like athleticism and like just grit, and I'm like, that is something you just love to see. It is fantastic. Yeah. And like it really does show like it's not a lack of effort. It's not that there's, because that's going to be like, oh, the Oilers wanted it more. And I love quoting Mark Cuban on this back in like the 2011, it was probably the 2011 series. And people were asking him, oh, did the Mavs want it more? And he's like, that's stupid. You're at this level, everyone's going to want it the same amount.
Yeah.
It comes down to implementation. There's so many other factors. So like, it was a good, like, it's not that the Panthers have given up on this series. It just, things like this happen.
I still wouldn't even be surprised if they won tonight.
Absolutely not. No.
I still wouldn't even be super shocked. I think money line is basically even for tonight. So that tells you Vegas has no idea.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't think a lot of people have an idea. I have really a good idea because you just aren't sure which team for each of them will show up.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Most of these games have been blowouts. So you're kind of, at least in the third period, they've been blowouts. So you're like, I really just don't know which team will show up. And we might not know until the third period.
Really?
Because that's when it's gotten away from, both teams many times. So all to say, tune in.
All the things we were frustrated with the Mavs Celtics series, and we're not going to even talk about it anymore because it's just sad.
Stupid.
Yeah. All the things we were frustrated with were just, the games just weren't terribly interesting. It was a blowout either way. You knew by the second half what was going to happen. Maybe minus game 3. I'll give game 3 because it was pretty close, but like pretty much everything else was, that hasn't been the case with the NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
It's been a lot more, just from a storyline perspective, it has been so much more interesting and engaging. To where you can make two teams that are just not super well liked outside of their fan bases, respectively. Like, it's a compelling watch for even casual fans. So, like, congratulations, NHL. You made two mid-liked teams make a really compelling series.
I mean, people are talking that this, and again, this is all, if you're listening normal on podcasts, we understand it's already happened. But people are saying, at least going into tonight, I can give you that perspective, that this could be the biggest game in NHL history because it's a Game 7, because it's the Stanley Cup Finals where a team has blown a 3-0 lead, because it's a team from Canada that hasn't won a Stanley Cup Final since before we were all born. So there's so many different things going into this. And because of that, we need to move on so we can finish this show so we can go watch that game.
Yes.
Yes, the
Stop
Boston...
listening to us. Let us watch.
That's right. Boston Celtics, they do clinch their 18th title in the NBA. Again, we kind of knew that was going to happen, that Game 5 was happening basically as we were recording last week, so I don't think we have anything to share. However, there are some things I do want to touch on quickly in the NBA. We talked about the JJ Redick thing briefly. We'll see. Like, whatever. I don't know. I think a lot's being made of the fact that, like, he's coming from a podcast. Yeah, but he's played in the NBA for like 16 years. We
also,
don't
do you not trust us three to be great coaches?
Well, exactly. Yeah.
How dare you?
Yep. Honestly, I think I can manage the Reds better. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. They're terrible and they're making me sad. 2 things. Number 1, this week we kind of learned that, well, look, there's the debate, the one that we really don't actually get into on this show, because what's the point, frankly? The Michael Jordan versus LeBron debate. We've shared our thoughts before, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about if you are someone who has typically sided with Michael Jordan as being the GOAT, which you are more than allowed to do so, I'm curious what points you've made in your argument. Have you made the argument that, Michael Jordan was a better defensive player than LeBron? Look at all the Defensive Player of the Year titles that he won. Well, if you are in the camp of defending Michael Jordan, I've got some bad news for you. Yahoo Sports did a terrific deep dive. This is, I believe it's Tom Haberstroh. Yep.
That's correct.
And
perfect.
He did a deep dive into the 1988 Defensive Player of the Year and raised some questions about the validity of the award. He talked to a former NBA statistician who said he intentionally inflated statistics and that it was a common practice in the 90s. So they went and looked at his per 36-minute numbers, and Jordan combined blocks, steals numbers were 82% higher at home than they were on the road. And no, it's not that he was just that much better of a player at home. It's just that he got some home cooking from the stat crew. Now, again, this is something that happened across the board. It's not just that Michael Jordan benefited. There's other players here, but when you're talking about the greatest of all time debate, it's just wild to me that we're just now finding this out, and people are now going back and looking at these games, and they're looking at the box score, and they're looking at the plays that were credited as like steals to Michael Jordan. And there's a couple times where he's like nowhere near the play. It's fascinating. And it's fascinating for me because I have background in stats. Like when I'm not recording the show and doing normal life stuff, I am doing stats for baseball, for basketball, for soccer, for volleyball. I do a little bit of everything, usually at the collegiate level. And so like, it's just wild to me to even have the mindset of, oh yeah, I'm going to basically cook the books for my hometown guy. Like, that is a foreign concept to me, but I understand how, probably under some pressure, how a home statistician would make the best player in the game at the time look even better.
He had more steals in some of the games than the other team had turnovers.
Yep.
Like some of them are so wild.
Oh yeah, wind that clock, Josh. Wind that clock.
That was the one that killed me. There was one game where he literally had more steals than the other team had turnovers, I believe. And I'm just like, come on, man. That's not even good book cooking. Like, I had to take accounting in school. I cooked some books, theoretical books, not real books, but like, come on, man. Like, you at least have to give the other team the same amount of turnovers. Like, you got to put a little effort into the cheating. I don't know.
Did they teach
I was
you?
disappointing.
Sorry, I was busy winding my clock. Did you just say that they taught you how to cook books so that you knew what not to do?
No, but when you don't know how to finish your accounting homework, you cook the book to make the numbers work.
And then you found out later that, oh yeah, the answer was wrong. So
the textbook was wrong. We didn't receive an email from that professor. She let us suffer for like 5 hours of doing that homework. One could say the class was not happy coming afterwards the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so that's a conspiracy theory that at some point I want to get the clock out. I want to do a deep dive.
Oh, that ain't no theory.
Well, that's true. That's just actual fact.
Not yours.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, the MJ. It's almost as if there was
no. I mean Michael's. That's not a theory. That
just happened.
That is book. That happened.
The clock is only out for confirmed ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too, like, and maybe you're asking yourself the question, well, did that happen for LeBron too? And I don't know if anyone's done a deep dive. It certainly hasn't happened recently with sports betting and the way people are so in tune with exactly who's getting a steal because you can bet that, or and also there's never been more availability, even if you have to pay for it or you can stream it illegally. There's never been more availability of these games to watch. And speaking of that, that's a good segue into the other NBA conspiracy.
What a good segue.
Thank you.
Because the whole thing now has been like, see the receipts. That's been what the old heads have been saying. And all the kids are going, yeah, let's go. I'll go check. Yeah, let's go check game by game.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one game
that for some reason we have, and this is not a new theory. This has been out there for a while, but I'm doubling down on it. Yeah, bring that clock back out. Tell me, internet, where is the footage of Wilt's 100-point game? There's nothing. Nothing has come out. And it's not, and whatever. That if it was not for other videos of other things, I wouldn't care. If it was just this time era where we didn't have video, like as a society, as a technology, then okay, I'll accept it at face value. I'm watching video of Babe Ruth signing his very first major league contract. You have video of that?
1934 or 5, yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
That's
Jesse
crazy.
Owens at the Berlin Olympics.
Yep.
We got footage.
Yep.
We got actual like footage of it. Like that. Sometimes, Aaron, I don't even believe Wilt Chamberlain is real at all.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Was that guy real?
Hold on. I'm going to look up a picture of this guy. This guy looks... They've had... See, here's my other theory. They've had AA longer than they've told us. They created...
They've had AA. Oh, no. Now we're getting down the wormhole of conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Where's the video, man?
And
where is it?
Oh, right. I mean the one picture of him holding up 100? That's not enough.
Yeah,
that's not enough.
No, it's not. There's video of Willie Mays playing like stickball in the streets of New York City.
Yes, I saw that one too.
If there's video of a major league player who just showed up in New York City.
If there's home video in 1927 of like
home video. But nobody got a minute of this game.
Yeah, this dude's got 90 points and no one thought, "Oh, I should probably record this." I know they didn't have iPhones. I get it. But come on, man.
There wasn't a single camera there.
No news agency was ever at a basketball game in 1957, whenever it was.
Yeah.
When was the 100-point game?
I don't know off the top of my head. Never, because it didn't happen.
There it is. Ha!
It was only 59 years ago. What are we doing?
See, exactly.
What are we doing?
This did not happen.
Yeah.
Kobe, congratulations. You have retroactively been granted most points in the game.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
There's a lot of pictures of him.
I mean, you can find video of him playing, which A, is either a completely different person, or B, further adds to the conspiracy that he didn't actually score 100.
Maybe that was some more book cooking.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, Mike on YouTube saying we were taking video from B-17s in World War II. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, I can go to Netflix right now and be a boomer and watch World War II in color in its entirety.
How dare you, Josh? You don't have to be a boomer to watch that.
Oh, I'm going to watch it tonight. I love it. I can watch half of World War I in color, and I'm not just talking about like 1917. Like we have the technology. We had the technology.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in color either. We're not being like.
I'm not picky.
You could give me the grainiest, foggiest, smudgiest footage you got. I need something.
We had like Gorbachev and Nixon like going to like grocery stores in 1962. Like we have video of that.
Crazy.
We don't have one guy shooting a lot of baskets in New York City.
Didn't happen.
Yep, didn't happen.
Or no, is it in Philadelphia?
Doesn't matter. Didn't happen anywhere.
It was in Hershey. It was allegedly in Hershey.
Neither.
I've been to Hershey. It just has one factory. For chocolates.
Yep.
And it has one theme park. I do not remember seeing an interior like a sports arena.
Yeah.
In fairness, Josh, I wish every town was like that. Just had one amusement park and one factory that was only used for candy. Sounds like a great world.
It's a great world.
Yeah.
That what you're envisioning, frankly, is it feels like you're envisioning Pawnee again. You have Sweetums.
Yeah.
And you have a little bit of like that fall festival.
Yeah.
I guess I was assuming the lack of corporate greed, but that was a big assumption.
You can't have a big corporation, a big factory that just produces one thing, making a monopoly of it in the local area. That doesn't. Sorry, Johnny.
It was very naive of me. It was very naive.
I would consider myself a good person. I'm 100% being a robber baron in that situation. If I'm in charge of the chocolate factory, I'm 100% going for
it. Yeah. Well, before we move on to our usual segments,
I guess our less serious segments?
Yeah, believe it or
not, this was the news aspect of the show.
Breaking news, everything you thought was real is not. What is real and what has been delightfully real is that the Euro Cup and the Copa America have both been phenomenal. Now, if you have not really paid attention to either one, allow me to try and put a probably poorly worded analogy into your head. The Euro Cup has been like some of the most complex, beautiful dance routines you've ever seen in your life, where everyone is in perfect sync. It's rehearsed, it's beautiful, it's elegant. And Copa America is two dudes, 7 beers in, bashing each other in the skull with chairs. That's probably the best way to put it. And by the way, both of those things are entertaining for two very different reasons, but they're both very entertaining. And that's been the case. Yesterday, the United States got off to a good start overall, solid start. They beat Bolivia 2-0. Johnny and I got to watch that game together. So that was good. Johnny, your thoughts on this? I know we were sitting there watching. I don't know what the expected goals ended up being. It felt like it could have been a lot more than 2-0. Probably should have been, especially considering some of the opponents ahead on the group schedule for the U.S. But 2-0 is 2-0, and 3 points is 3 points.
Yeah. I mean, Bolivia is easily the lowest ranked team in the whole tournament. So winning was expected, bare minimum. I think Bolivia is ranked like 88th, and the U.S. is ranked 11th in the FIFA rankings. Now, we talked about Belgium before. The FIFA rankings are not necessarily super accurate, but they do give you a general understanding of where these countries are. Bolivia's, when they get to play at home, they have a huge elevation advantage. Obviously, they don't get that in Dallas, Texas. So U.S. played very well. Super happy with certain players. Christian Pulisic obviously scored that initial goal. Beautiful. He was brilliant all game. Tim Weah was great all game. The back line didn't have a ton to do. I'd like to see a little bit better from the center backs, but that was okay. The biggest thing was just the amount of chances created was wonderful to see. It was rather frustrating to see the lack of finishing because if you watch soccer, you understand, you can create all game. You can have dominant possession. All it takes is one transition. You're down a goal if you can't put away the chances. Because against the great teams, you only get so many of those chances. You won't get, they had 10 quality chances against Bolivia, just quality chances. They had more shots than that. So overall pleased. Because they came out with a good attitude, good mindset, and that's what I wanted to see more than anything. It'll get much harder. Panama is, not top of the world. They're a fellow CONCACAF team. So I know a lot of people that's not the most fun matchup in the world, but they're much, much better than Bolivia. They're familiar with the U.S., so they're going to give them a tough test. That's on Thursday. And then they'll have Uruguay, who already beat Panama 3-1. And we knew that'd be the toughest test of the group. They get them on Monday, and that will be the real test to see. Assuming, both teams in that situation could very easily be hey, we're both going through. We're just, playing for first or second place. So assuming Uruguay goes for it and the U.S. go for it, which I hope they do, because the U.S. needs to have that mindset, that will be the real true test of, okay, this is a legitimate top 10 in the world team. We should be able to go toe-to-toe with these guys if we're serious about this. So that'll be really interesting going forward. I'll say, just on a side note about Team USA, I know we've already talked about Berhalter as coach and stuff, and any US fan who's actually cheering for us to play poorly so we can get fired, get lost. Cheer for your country, hope they win.
Yep.
If they do poorly, I want him gone too. But this is not even a soccer or country thing. You should always cheer for your team. Cheer for your team to win. And if things go poorly, then we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
He's not my favorite manager either, but you should cheer for your team to win.
Yep, 100%. Euros, we had some excitement. Italy, literally last minute, got a goal to draw, which enabled them to sneak into the knockout stage. So literally last minute goal. It was a beautiful goal. So they survived. That's, of course, they're the defending champs in the Euros. They've famously done very well in the Euros recently and famously not done. Well, I take that back. You know what? They haven't lost a World Cup match in nearly a decade. So they're doing great. They're doing great.
Yes. And Hungary the day before.
Yep. At
the death as well, as the British announcers like to say, rescued at the death, winning against us. They beat Scotland at the very end in their stoppage time game. Now, I will say really quick for the Euros, we talked about kind of the setup before, and Italy getting that draw makes them second place. So they're automatically through. The third place teams are sitting around waiting. So Croatia drawing probably eliminates them, especially with 2 points sitting in third place. But they're not technically eliminated. And that was actually really good news for Hungary because they only have 3 points from beating Scotland. So the magic number for these third place teams really is 4 points. If they can have 4 points, they're pretty much like golden. They're fine. Like you're in third place, you have 4 points, you're golden. If you're in third place with 3, you're going to have to sweat it out. But right now, Hungary is technically above Croatia in the pecking order there. Again, remember 4 of the 6 third place teams go through. So Hungary's actually in a decent spot right now. They just have to hope that somebody else has 3 points and a worse goal differential or less points. Just one other team in third place. So that's decently likely, really. I think Hungary's got a great chance. They only have a -1 goal differential. They're probably going through. But those are the only 2 groups who have finished so far. And they were both like insanely dramatic. Again, if you're not familiar, it's like game 3 of the World Cup. So the games are played at the exact same time, so nobody can like have the advantage of knowing the result prior, which makes it just a wild ride. And that'll be the case. We have the next 2 groups, Group C and Group D tomorrow, Group E and Group F the day after. So it will be an insane finish. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. All right, let's make some picks. Actually, hang on, before I do that, do we want to, so I had Wimbledon listed. Do we want to pick Wimbledon? I think technically we could also pick it next week, but I wasn't sure what to pick otherwise.
I unfortunately forgot to pick, and I was researching what I'm following. So I can do what I normally do.
Most random.
I was going to say, honestly,
we could do something real random. It's been a minute.
Is there a random? Well, I mean, I could do a.
You want to pick Slovakia, Romania?
What I thought would be funny is I do the most Josh thing, and I find the top 4 favorites by per match, men's and women's, and then I do a number randomizer, and those become my picks. And I see if blind luck is better than Johnny's well-researched opinions. That seems like a fun.
Give me more credit than I deserve.
I mean,
you're gonna have at the very least you're gonna have actual reasons for picking who you pick.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm gonna go. What name can I most easily not butcher on air?
I like it. Well, yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Not my picks. Then Josh, not mine.
That's all right. Perfect.
While Josh does his research for his picks, I would like to bring up just really quickly one note on the Euro Cups, just because it has been floating around and it's kind of a fun exercise.
Oh yeah, we got to talk
these
about
tournaments.
This.
One of the fun things is you get to see countries that you don't know that a lot of times aren't able to qualify, for the World Cup. So they're smaller countries, So in this, for example, you have Albania qualified, the country of Georgia, not the state, I know. Although one of the wingers for Georgia, the country, plays for Atlanta United. So double Georgia. That's kind of fun. Anyway, but the Balkan countries have just been insane in this tournament. They've had some of the most fun matches. They've been incredible. So it was floating around, man, why don't we have a Balkan Cup? There's 12 countries. This would be amazing. Why don't we have this? Well, they did used to have this. They had this when Yugoslavia still existed. And so there weren't as many countries at the time. But I actually, the same thought went through my head too. So I'm not saying that this was a dumb thought, because they've been so fun to watch. They've been very direct, which is why the games have been so fun. They know I'm playing a team that's much better than me. I'm just going to go for it. Don't hold anything back. And if we lose 3-0, we lose 3-0. But most of the time, they're drawing 2-2, or these are wild games because they're just going for it. We'll love it. It's fun soccer. According to FIFA, and additional research I did, because I was like, man, why aren't they? Many of these countries are not, in FIFA's terms, legally allowed to play each other on the soccer pitch. Mostly when Bosnia, Serbia, or Kosovo is involved, they are not allowed to be playing each other. So I'm actually wearing my Bosnia
national
team jersey.
Very nice.
So I thought it was applicable. They are not in the Euro Cup. They did not qualify. They lost in the playoff, but they're literally not allowed to. So, we kind of think our rivalries in college football are like a big deal. It's kind of another level, especially in the Balkans, where they really, really hate each other. That's not a fake hatred over there. So that's why we don't have it. Obviously, like Ukraine's not allowed to play Russia right now. Like FIFA steps in for obvious ones, kind of like that. But Serbia can't play Kosovo or Bosnia because that will not go well at all. The only countries who have been fined and sanctioned in the tournament have been the Balkan countries. Croatia, Serbia, and Albania have all been sanctioned and fined in the tournament for things that their players and their fans have said. So, and basically look it up. It's kind of funny because they're just some of the things they're yelling about another country that's not even present. So we love the Euros. We love soccer because it brings people together, but I guess still only to a point in some cases. Yeah. So
someone on Twitter suggested fine everybody just right up in that tournament, in this hypothetical, fine them right away. Just fine them $100K each or whatever you think what will cover their sins, and then the winner just gets that money.
Yeah.
Make it
it's
a pool.
Not a bad thought. It's 12 countries, 3 groups of 4. You take the top 2, that's 6, and you take the top 2 third place teams. We got 8, and away we go. Oh. So it I mean, it would be an interesting time. It would be some fun soccer, though. I love the styles of these teams. Romania is still alive. Croatia, sad. Luka Modric played great, did everything he could, but they're most likely going home. Albania was fun. I mean, poor Albania. They lose to Italy and Spain by a goal apiece, and they draw Croatia, and that's just the definition of so close. And punching above your weight class, really, if we're being real about that. So, loved watching those teams, though. It's been a fun tournament. They have definitely lived up to the hype, and Copa's really just getting started. So we'll have the last first games tonight, and then we'll start with our seconds tomorrow with Argentina. So then we'll really start to see it ramp up.
Yep. And of course, because we picked both the Euro Cup and Copa America for picks of the week, we'll update you based on what we know, which won't be a lot for really till mid-July. Speaking of, we are all tied at 3 points, at least for this exact moment. Again, as we mentioned, Johnny could get an additional point if the Oilers do the unthinkable and come back from 3-0 to win the Stanley Cup Finals. Otherwise, I picked up a point because the Boston Celtics won the NBA Finals. So we are all tied at 3 to start this season, 3 episodes in. This week, we are going to pick Wimbledon. We are picking this tournament, which I believe begins sometime next week, ? I don't know. It starts at some point. Who knows? What we do know is we're going to pick it, and I'm going to go with my usual... Let me put it this way. You're going to get 3 very different strategies here. My strategy is that this exact pick worked well last time, so I'm just running it back until it just blows up in my face. I'm going Carlos Alcaraz on the men's side. I'm going Coco Gauff on the women's side because those are my 2 favorites. Because
those are good picks.
Nadal is my favorite. Now Nadal is foregoing Wimbledon so he can play in the Olympics, which is really fun. He's also playing with Alcaraz for Spain in doubles, which is so fun. And what a cool moment for Spain and for tennis fans to see, really, especially for Spain, your guy who's been doing it for 2 decades, and now the guy that appears to be, Djokovic isn't really going anywhere quite yet, but the guy that appears to be the eventual de facto number 1 in the world just for a while. Also that's so cool. So I'm looking forward to that. A lot more talk on the Olympics coming up in the next couple of weeks, but I'm going Carlos Alcaraz. I'm going Coco Gauff.
Aaron, you have really good reasons for picking what you picked. And Johnny, you also have good reasons for picking what you picked. I love watching tennis. And when I say I love watching tennis, I love watching tennis highlights on TikTok when they appear on my feed. Because for me, all I really hear is and that's all I know tennis to be. And so I'm like, I'll just go off vibes. And when I say vibes, I mean the cold heart of a computer. I went to the top 5, like maybe favorites by betting odds for winners for each of the men's and the women's. And then I went to Google's random number generator. And I'm like, give me a number between 1 and 5. I don't know. Maybe that was too narrow a range. But I've already said I did it, so we're doing it. So the mighty Google told me for the men's to pick Alexander Zverev from a place,
Germany.
and Naomi Osaka on the women's side.
Very nice.
So that's fun. I feel like I saw her in the news the other day, and that's about all I know. Probably positive if she qualified, so that's good.
Yeah.
There it is. We'll see.
Good. Yeah, Aaron, you had good reasons for your picks. Josh, both your picks are reasonable. I'm going to pick one who's just like kind of an obvious favorite, just because she's on a really hot streak right now, and that's Iga Swiatek. So that's on the women's side. She won the French Open already this year. She's won the 4 of the last 5 French Opens. Now that's on clay. Wimbledon's on grass. And so there's always that kind of, how do you play on each? Rafa Nadal was always just so well known for just the king of clay. Dude dominated. And that didn't mean he, obviously won at the other majors too, but that was where he
We are looking at how to pronounce the name of this famous river
last year, though,
that
she went to the
flows through
quarterfinals
the
of
northern
Wimbledon.
part of
She
France
is the
that
number
is
1 in
so
the world
iconic
right
and particularly
I think
famous for
she's
flowing
just on
through,
such a roll.
of course,
she has a great
Paris.
opportunity to win Wimbledon
How
as
do you
well.
go about
So I'll go with
pronouncing it?
her.
In French, we would say
and then I would pick
Seine.
Yannick Sinner.
La rivière Seine.
We just talked about Alcaraz, and he has really stepped into the shoes of kind of the big 3. Even Djokovic is starting. He's finally starting to hit injury issues as he's getting much older, which just is how it works in all sports. Sinner is one of these guys, along with Zverev, Josh, that's kind of right there with the ability to challenge for that number 1 spot. So
that's right.
I'm going to go with Sinner. He won the Aussie Open this year. And in Wimbledon last year, he was also a semifinalist. So he's right there. I would love, my hope is that we get to see him and Alcaraz face each other in Wimbledon, just because those are some great matches. That is my hope. I want to see those guys, start the next generation of tennis stars.
Yeah, no doubt. Josh, what do you have going on over there?
I'm glad you asked, Aaron. I have in my hands both my degrees.
Oh.
You can see it on the video screen. You guys also have 2 degrees. Come on. You guys got 2 degrees.
Yeah, but you don't see us holding it in front of the camera right now.
I don't know where they are. You're double fisting your...
Here's the reason why I'm holding these. There's a reason I'm holding these. Both.
All right.
Both of these are in theology and biblical studies. And you know what's bad in the Bible? In the Bible, if you're not familiar with it, there's 2 things. There's one thing that's good and one thing that's bad. God, good.
Tennis?
Right? Bad, sin. If you are a sinner, it's bad. So, Johnny, I can't in good faith. I'm not going to throw this one. I cannot in good faith, accept this pick. So I wish you the best of luck in that. I wish that he comes to see the error of his ways.
Yep.
Oh, that's just icing on the cake.
Oh man. All right, I've got a very bad
pasta tonight.
I've got an extremely bad segue that I'm not going to do because it's time for the next segment. All right, I lied. I'm going to do it. Sin is bad, almost as bad as the Seine River in France. Oh, wow.
Woo. Some French person just died.
Yep.
And probably fell into the Seine.
Well, they might die if they do that.
Because they fell into the Seine.
So, folks, look, I know a lot of you are probably following this already along with me, but if you are not, let me just kind of lay out the story. So we are, I think we might be exactly a month away. By the time this episode comes out, it will be basically exactly a month away from the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. Now, again, quick refresher, they do a lot of different sports. There's a ton. There's like 120 events every single day. If you really total it up, why would anyone total it up? Well, because we're putting together a little something fun for the Olympics for you all. That's why. However, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about some of the events that happen on the open water. Now, I think in this case, the Seine River is being used for they call it the swimming marathon. It's actually technically a 10K, but I mean, if you're swimming for 10 kilometers, that's basically the equivalent of a marathon.
Madness.
Yeah, that's insane. So they're using it for that. They're using it for the opening ceremonies, actually. And apparently everyone's going to float down the river and it'll be really cool. That's all great. Maybe they're doing canoeing stuff here. I don't know. The problem is that this river is famous for having lots and lots of bacteria, because basically when it rains, the old pipes in the nearby area basically just leak sewage. They get too full, they leak sewage in the river, and that's been happening for who knows how many years. So France, upon learning that they would host the Olympics, I mean, we're talking, gosh, that happens almost a decade ago probably at this point, they did their best to clean up the river. The problem is that they spent billions of taxpayer dollars and made the process extremely inconvenient for the people, for the locals there. And look, I'm no expert. I'm certainly no engineer. I'm not sure they could have even done anything different to fix this problem. The one issue, though, is that they have not fixed the problem. They have spent billions of dollars and made this big deal, and the water is still very brown. Well, the French people are fed up with it, and they planned, there's no great way to say this. They basically planned a poop in the river day to show their frustration with how this has gone. They're frustrated. Their tax money has gone to fail to clean up this famous river. Now, sadly, for the memes, this poop day never actually happened. It was more of an empty threat. However, one of the main politicians in France was supposed to, the day before, swim in the river to show how clean it is and that it's good for the Olympics. That also magically did not happen. Some meeting happened to come up. Oh, shocking. Shocking that this brown river, this politician said, you know what? I'm probably good. So that's the update. It's not good. I think the other Olympic venues, by the way, will be fantastic. The beach volleyball is taking place basically under the Eiffel Tower. That's unbelievable.
Amazing.
And they're much better set up than some countries that have hosted the Olympics to do some of this stuff. However, this is just pretty wild, and it's what I've been following. We had a poop day. It didn't happen, but the threat of people just... And you know what? Maybe some people did. It's a big river.
I'm sure some people
did.
I love... One of the things, like, again, I'm not a massive fan of France, because I'm American. But like one thing that we share in common is like a love of protesting. Mm-hmm. And I will say
Nobody
France does it. It's so good. It's and I would say, when I say good, we could talk about the ethics of protesting on the other podcast where three white guys talk about politics. On this podcast where three white guys talk about sports, they do it so thoroughly. It is such a like, Les Mis is not exaggerating. Like,
Josh, it always involves poop too. It really does.
Yep. It's poop and fire. That's what it is. You're gonna set.
Now, normally it's manure, but still, it usually involves poop.
You do what you got to do. And like I like, and it's over like what we would consider mundane things. Like they lit Paris on fire over like the possibility of introducing like Lyft and Uber to like the area. Because it was going to upset the taxi unions.
If they had the inflation at fast food like we did here.
Oh
no.
Yeah.
Those McDonald's would have been burned to the ground.
Yeah. And again, okay, here's the side thing. This might be the thing I'm following.
They would have been covered in poop.
This might be the thing I'm following. Because I actually have a thing on that, and this is something I followed. Like, it wasn't something that like I was gonna like put as a main thing I'm following, but since we're already talking about it, I've never spent more than $5 at McDonald's, and I get exactly what I want because I use the app. And I saw this. The online discourse on Twitter was classic Twitter because everyone was like, "Oh, they're gonna get your information." That was the big thing. Is people were like, "I'm not gonna use the app. I'm gonna spend $15 on 3 items because I don't want them telling me my information." And I'm like, I'm gonna tell McDonald's that I like burgers. They would have known that if I used my credit card to pay for burgers.
Yeah.
Take my burger info, please. Anyway, now that I'm already talking, I may as well also now do what I'm following. Welcome to Chess Heads. I feel like it's been a while, but welcome to the latest and greatest in sports adjacent sports. This week, guys, it is so fun. And it's really sweet, actually. It's called hobby horsing.
Yep.
You guys know hobby horses?
I've been on TikTok long enough that yes.
It's a hobby. It's just a horse head on a stick. It's a stuffed horse head on a stick. Like a
Thank you for the clarification.
It's not a taxidermied. It's like a stuffed animal, just the head.
Correct.
On a stick.
It's totally normal.
This is not the Godfather. It's okay.
Yep.
It's fine. It's cute.
I was worried for a half second.
Trust me. Please don't demonetize us, Spotify. It's okay. But there's a big kind of gymnastic-y thing called hobby horsing, and it's big overseas in like Finland, and like anywhere for like girls and young women between like 12 and 18, they'll compete in like, if you've been to like this is going to sound terrible, but if you've seen like the dog shows, the agility competitions, they do things like that where they're jumping over like little poles, but it's just a person with a hobby horse, and they're just running and jumping, but they're running with the horse. And in like Germany and Finland, like they're most of the time it's charity fundraising. And so this one, it's very sweet. Like, it's a very unserious sport. There's like probably one weirdo on TikTok that thinks it's a real horse, but like it's a very fun, it's a unusually upbeat. I feel like I'm very snarky and jaded. It's a very nice it's a very nice thing.
Yeah.
Now the real thing I'm following. Johnny, this is up your alley. What if the city... sorry, hold on. This is a terrible segue. Johnny, this is right up your alley. If in Washington, D.C., all the statues came to life, a la Night at the Museum.
Cool.
Who would win in a fight?
Abe. He's the biggest.
As long as he's not made out of wax.
Well, hold on. Do you get the weaponry as well?
You are the material you are.
So just hands. We're just working with hands.
You're just working with hands. But again, let's say that he has these. What about like all the group of soldiers at the Korean War Memorial?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. He could just step on them. That sounds bad. That's a memorial.
But what about? I mean, and here's the thing, because that's what I was thinking. Like MLK, but MLK actually has a disadvantage because he's only a torso. The memorial I'm thinking of.
Yeah, can he even go anywhere?
But theoretically, because of the way that the statue is set, I could see him floating.
So he's
because he kind of like the way that they're doing the buses, it kind of dematerializes as it gets closer, like past the torso. So I'm like, I wonder if that's like, if you've seen like the ghosts in Pac-Man, like kind of that like energy of him like floating. Or what about something like what about a larger, like not quite Abe sized? Because again, I'm with you on
nobody's
Abe.
bigger than Abe. Josh, do the soldiers get the guns since they're holding them in the statue, or still no? It's just
no. Again, it's just the soldiers.
Definitely Abe.
What about? I'm trying to think of anybody with that's on horseback, because there could be a speed advantage. Because now we're also getting into Abe is big.
So they get the horse though.
Abe's going to have less agility.
Yeah,
they would get the horse. Yeah,
they get the horse. Okay.
And if and let's say here, like even though like the statue is carrying like a sword or a gun, maybe if those guns aren't real, like live firing, they're still going to have like a thing to poke and like.
They can use the bayonet. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can absolutely use the bayonet. Absolutely, yeah. Whatever the statue is currently, they're not becoming real people. They're still statues. But whatever they are with.
Sense.
Yeah. So like anybody who has a sheathed sword, we're not going to say that it's the marble. They can't. Oh no, actually that's too much.
How big is Jefferson in his memorial?
Oh,
he's not as big as Abe.
I don't think so. Let me check.
No, I'm pretty sure he's not, but he's pretty big.
He is big. By the way, thank you to the subreddit r/Washington DC. This was their discussion. Not in like
it's
a who
definitely
would win.
Abe. Definitely Abe. Like many other statues would have to team up to take down Abe. It could happen.
Yeah,
but on their own, nobody's taking on Abe.
Now,
no way.
My question is, when we're done with the Washington DC regional, and we eventually go to the national championship, are the Mount Rushmore faces just peeling themselves off the rock? Like, what advantage? Because
just heads.
They're just heads, but they're pretty big. Like, have they figured out how to roll? Like,
I'll say once that Chief Crazy Horse monument gets finished, the country's done. Nobody's beating Chief Crazy Horse. No way. Yeah. He's got a spear.
Yeah.
At least I think in the renderings.
See, my only concern with, and I like the idea of Lincoln, and I think that's still my go-to. My only concern with Lincoln is, again, we can AT-AT him.
Yep, that's true.
But he's slow teamwork. And lumbering, which a group of soldiers from the Arlington Memorial or the Korean War
they don't have rope.
Can do. They can join hands and just like do
They're
it
also
themselves.
Alive at this point. Like, can they not, if they're fighting in combat, can they also not just walk to a store?
They have use of their hands and they can commandeer. Hey, we're the Korean
I thought we were
War
just
Memorial.
They only had what they had with them. I thought that's what we were saying.
Fine. Abe could pick up a car. How about that? He can throw vehicles. He can throw the tram at them.
Yeah.
I was just going to say a tree.
Yeah. Like, he's not. I don't know if we're going to give him that much strength.
No, I'm thinking like
uproot a tree.
In Lord of the Rings. Like
but the Ents are trees.
I know. They still picked up like rocks and were just clubbing people. So that's what I'm kind of thinking here.
I don't want to be
Abe, Josh.
I don't want to be
me, Abe.
But see, I'm trying to in this imaginary situation. The thing is, with horseback, they're going to be just faster than Abe, and they can be more nimble. And so I'm trying to think of I know there are people that have honestly, the statue of Grover Cleveland over in Cleveland, Moses Cleveland, sorry, not Grover Cleveland, Moses Cleveland.
Him too.
And him too. But I think Moses specifically is on horseback, if I remember that statue correctly. So like even him, like he's going to have an agility advantage that might outweigh the size and strength advantage, because Abe, again, proportionally, we have to preserve. There's like those mathematical equations of like the larger you get proportionally, the slower your movements are because of how gravity inertia works.
Yeah.
Like a 1-to-1 closer human statue on a horse is going to be more agile and be able to hide and find better positions faster than Abe can, like an Ent. They also sped up some of the Ent footage. I'm sorry to tell you, that was edited in post.
They sped it up.
Peter Jackson sped up the Ent footage. I'm sorry to tell you. It wasn't as real as it looked. For that reason only. No other reason. But yeah, just, you know what? If you're having dinner with your family this week, just be like, hey, if every statue in DC came to life and decided that the first thing they needed to do was kill the other statues, which one would win?
Fun tell us if we're forgetting an obvious one that would
give us your picks, because we're dumb and I only have Lincoln, Jefferson, and MLK at the top of my mind.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Ooh, who's at Union Station? Hold on. While you're doing what you're following, Johnny, I'm going to figure out who.
I actually think we've been very positive on this podcast today.
Please bring us down.
Uplifting, please, Johnny, and positive.
Bring us down.
And
I didn't even see what you're following. Are you going to be
I'm going to be such a bummer?
Let's go.
Oh no,
bummer. We already talked about Team USA and the soccer. Like, obviously, this summer is full of soccer. I love it. It's one of my favorite. I mentioned before. It's my favorite summer that comes along every 4 years. You have Copa America. Well, they're not always consistent, but you have the Euro Cup, and it leads right into the Summer Olympics. It's amazing. Like, there's always something going on in summer. There's no dog days. It's so fun. And we're hosting the Copa this year. So initially I was like, well, dang, like, let's try to go. Like, let's try to go to one of these games.
Yep.
Like, that sounds well worth it. That would be amazing. And I'm like, clearly this isn't going to cost the same amount as like going to a crew game. And that's not necessarily cheap, but I realize it's a big tournament. Like, country to country, it's always going to be a ton more. Well, if you watch that U.S. soccer game even yesterday, you might have noticed that was only about 2/3 at best full. And I understand it's Bolivia. They're one of the poorer countries in South America. They don't travel super well. So there basically was almost no away support in the game. But this goes to a bigger issue that I'd just like to bring up with U.S. soccer. If you watch the Euros especially, the vibes have been immaculate. They've been so cool. Like, Germany always is a good host for just about anything, like major tournaments now. Obviously, Europe's different. All these countries can get to one another so easily. Like, it, you know, if you're Croatia going to Germany, it's like me going to Tennessee. You know, it's not an equivalent in the Americas. There's so much more spread out. I understand that. My big issue with U.S. soccer, and not the team, we're not talking about management, we're not talking about the team itself. The team played well. It's with the administration of U.S. soccer. You know, I really wanted to go to one of these games, but unfortunately, these games are pretty much all in the South, which I do get to a point. Like, the South American clubs are coming up, but there's none in the Midwest at all. The only ones I think there might be some in New York, but there's almost none in the North, like, at all. They're all in football stadiums and all NFL stadiums, which aren't even wide enough for really what the width of the field should be. Mm-hmm. The players have already complained about the surfaces, and the tickets are insane prices. They're insane to get just in the door, like just the ticket. I've also heard that parking's like $60.
That's crazy.
The ticket for just to get in the game is like $200. Imagine trying to go with someone. And I'm talking like the worst seat in the house. And remember, these are 75,000 seat stadiums made for football. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily just you can't see the game, but it's not built for soccer to begin with. So these are not good seats. Meanwhile, a bunch of the stadiums, while there are stadiums in Germany that are like their Olympic stadium that's in the 70,000s, a lot of them are closer to 40, 45. And they're packed and they're full. And the average ticket price is under $100. Like,
yeah,
you say you want to grow the game, but then you price everybody who, like, the average American out. You can't have both ways. And also, I would argue, lower the ticket prices, fill the seats, and then charge whatever you want for concessions and parking, and you're going to make up the money in merchandise and everything else. Like, you will make up the money on the back end, but you're pricing out the average American. When I saw how much just a ticket to get to the game, and they're not in my geographical footprint, which I understand not every time will it be, I'm going to have to spend over $500-$600 to even think about going to a game. And we're talking about Bolivia, like the worst game. So if you look at the Panama seating arrangement right now for that game, or Uruguay, it's ugly right now. I heard that they were giving away free tickets like crazy in Dallas the last 2 days just to try to fill the stadium. They're giving free tickets to Dallas FC season ticket holders. And listen, I don't begrudge them. That's awesome for them. That's great that they got to go. I'd argue that should have been happening on the front end. You want that full. You want a great atmosphere. You want the world to see we're hosting a World Cup in 2 years. That we are interested in soccer. We're interested in growing the game. We are serious about it. But in the countries that are the most serious about it, they don't price out their average everyday fan. You wouldn't see that in Spain or Germany or England even. And it's just tiresome. It's tiresome, and it's not unique to U.S. soccer. You know, college football fans, NFL fans, NBA fans, every other sport in America can feel this, where they start to feel like the average American's starting to get kind of priced out of some of these tickets to go to games. So that's just my rant. We want to grow the game, but we're pricing people out. We price people out in youth soccer. You have to spend thousands of dollars to really play youth soccer. That's anything more than rec. And we're pricing out fans just to attend games. And then we're like, man, U.S. doesn't have soccer culture. People don't care. I really think they do.
I do too.
But they can't spend $1,000 just to take, their husband or wife and 2 kids to a soccer game. Like, most people can't just drop $1,000 like that. Yeah. And that's what we're asking people to do right now. And it's insane.
Yeah. I can get bad tickets right now, like bad visibility for 120.
Oh, great. For Panama?
No, if I buy now for quarterfinals in Arlington.
So like that's actually pretty good. Well, is that before fees?
That's before fees
and parking.
And like, again, that is back row, and I don't know who's in yet. So I would be buying blind, which is I guess maybe in the States,
but you could be getting, which I don't know what teams are going to the Arlington job.
Exactly.
I bet you anything that's not Argentina, that's not the U.S.
No, not in the least. Yeah, it's
because they know that. Yeah. Like they know that, like where the locations for the groups, and it won't be those two.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and again, this is just Arlington. They're only hosting one. Houston's taking Houston and Austin are splitting most of them. For some reason, they're throwing on the quarterfinals up north here. But yeah, it's not. I would be buying blinds for the best case scenario.
And you're probably getting like Ecuador and Mexico playing each other. I bet you that's like that quarterfinal. And like, listen, like that's still going to be great soccer, but that's not what you're looking for. Like, you're wanting the American fans going to watch the U.S. specifically, especially.
Right, exactly. Like, a soccer fan would be willing to spend $120 plus whatever the parking, like, for himself or herself. Like, yeah, maybe, with everything involved, maybe $250 for Copa. Awesome.
Yeah.
Copa America. Yes. Awesome. You can't take a family to this, and 2, you have to be a diehard soccer fan to buy now when it's cheap, because you have no idea. Yeah, I was gonna say I could buy and then resell and be a jerk.
Yep.
Which is probably what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 days, because it's on Friday the July 5th. Like, it's going to be a popping weekend. So like, But yeah, no, it's
grow the game. Stop worrying about money.
Yeah, this is what we had this conversation.
Money, grow the game.
Conversation with the crew. It's like if you want to grow and become like ESPN already, it diminishes like anything that's not basketball or football. Like, you have MLB and I guess MLB. I'll give them that. Like, there's a chance to pop up into the number 4 spot very easily if they know how to market well. It's growing internationally still. Like, you can totally surpass NHL if you tried with your marketing. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. It's just, you should be able to take your family to these games.
On a side note,
70,000. We want to fill the stadium. Yeah. Make it a really good atmosphere. The atmospheres in Europe have been amazing.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm not saying we have to be just like them, but they're not pricing out their fans.
I don't want to.
When it's corporate people going to games, we shouldn't be surprised when there's no atmosphere.
Yeah,
they're not going to have it.
And
there's not even suites and boxes in most of these games in Germany. And if they are, it's like, oh, the King of Spain is here. We kind of, for security purposes, must put him in a suite. Other than that, they're not even reserving suites for other people. They want it full with regular everyday soccer fans.
Places
and it's
for
been
press.
Amazing.
That's it. And maybe the King of Spain. No,
right.
that's gonna be the
totally
fear of
get that one.
It's like, again, this is all sight unseen. It's like anything that's like reasonable, first off, is blocked out because it's already been purchased by like a corporate thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like decent seats are pushing 500.
Right.
Great seats are 2,500. And it's like, we're running into the same issue where it's like
madness.
And again, it's Arlington, so it's not like it's AT&T Stadium, so it's like there's plenty of seats, but it's like we're not going to run into anything. And yeah, frankly, there's a lot of space still to be filled. 155. I'm just not going to. I mean, again, a casual is not going to spend this much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, I have a free weekend. Let me drop $300
right
to go watch 2 teams that I haven't followed all year.
And that's who you're trying to get.
You're trying to get me. So you know what I'm
trying to get the casual fans. Like, Josh, if this was a $30 ticket, would you go watch the U.S. go play Panama?
I was just about to say that. FC Dallas is hosting Cincinnati, FC Kentucky this Saturday. It's video game night. It's presented by Coca-Cola, not a sponsor. But listen, if Dr. Pepper doesn't get back to us,
true.
No, it's $21 all day to get in.
That's how you grow.
They got a drone.
You said you're going, right, Josh?
I'm going to look and see if I have a friend or two who can go with me. But yeah, I'm 100%. Yeah, it's easy to go. There's plenty of seats still. $24. Yeah, for good seats.
There you go.
Yep.
And I'm not even asking for it to be that price.
Hold on. Which side's the home side? I want to make sure I'm on the home side. I'll search on my own side. I'll search on my own time. That's not great radio. Is me clicking around trying to find the right area.
We're not asking for those prices, but like the Crew, and other MLS teams had home games on Saturday. That's another issue we won't get into. But those atmospheres were really good for those MLS teams. There's plenty of soccer fans in this country.
Yep.
We market it terribly, which was another issue for the attendance.
Yep.
This has not been marketed outside of I'm watching Fox or FS1.
Yeah.
No marketing. And the prices are insane. Come on. We want to grow the game. Let's grow the game. Let's make it accessible for everyone, especially people who are just getting into it. And, the U.S. are playing here. They don't even know about the tournament, but they're playing in my hometown or nearby. Let's go. That's who you're trying to get. So let's get them in the door. We want to grow the game. All are welcome.
Yep. And it's not just a hypothetical. You can compare this directly to what they're paying for the Euro Cup. And it's crazy. I mean, even though you have more fan interest, it's still cheaper to go to Euro Cup games.
Oh, 100%.
Yep. And they could be charging triple what they probably are.
Yep.
But they'd start to turn it corporate.
Yes.
And those stands, I mean, Italy scoring that goal today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you thought they might storm the pitch.
Yep.
Just because, and I don't know, and I'm not expecting exactly that out of America. I hope we can get there one day to have that atmosphere and to have that soccer heritage to lean on. But that should be the goal. That should be the goal. Wanting real fans. Real fans have real passion, and that's going to show in the stands at games. And that's what you want. And players feed off of that. Mm-hmm. We're home. We should feel like we have a home advantage, and we don't really.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we have brought the mood significantly down from the high place that it was earlier.
I hope you are sufficiently frustrated.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
We were too positive before that. Too positive.
Your action statement is support your local MLS team.
Yeah.
Specifically FC Dallas, but not until I get my tickets.
Yeah. Yep. I love it. My tease at the end of the show is that apparently there's a sneak preview that Oregon might be bringing back their steel plate uniforms from the Dennis Dixon era, which that would go crazy if that's true. So they're announcing it officially in 2 days when this episode comes out. So if that's kind of your thing, which I always enjoy, college football uniform releases, then knock yourself out with that one. Oregon also with a new basketball court if you care about such aesthetic things such as that. All right, listeners, I hope you have a great week. Enjoy the soccer. I hope you enjoyed Game 7. Whatever you got going on this week, I hope it's good. We will see you all next week, and we'll talk to you then.